when I first started seeing Mahabharat, I was like, it was like going to a school that I genuinely every day woke up excited to go to. और नानी के साथ देखना was a different thing because हम लोग हमेशा discuss करते थे dates, and being a good human and following the righteous path which is dharma पे बहुत ज़्यादा rhetorical like references are made. And Mahabharat, if you don't know, in Hinduism we have a segment of texts called Itihas, which stands for history, and उसके अंदर आते हैं Mahabharat and Ramayan, and before the era that we're in was Dwarpayug, many years ago. So this is considered history, and there is evidence of it being of it actually existing. There's a lot of archaeological evidence, but I won't get into that in this video. Maybe another video about that. So Mahabharat is my all-time, my favorite book, because जितना मैंने उस बुक से सीखा है, उस कहानी से सीखा है, कुछ कोई स्कूल मुझे नहीं सिखा सकता था वो. और that made me become a person that from a very young age I was very proud of. Really fulfilling myself from within and learning about the world and how to have a good heart, like from within. Learning about to generate happiness from within. So like it really changed my life, and one of the most important things in Sanatan Dharma is to give, to share, to create goodness around you. Whatever thing makes me become a better person, the first thing I want to do with that piece of information or whatever it is share with other people, because I want everyone to grow, everyone around me to, become a better person. I want to share my experiences so that it would motivate you to have your own. So that is why I want to start this series on YouTube, जिसमें हम बात करेंगे basically about different Hindu scriptures. Sometimes we will like take a very small segment of some like scripture, like one verse maybe. Like in today's video we're gonna focus on 2 verses, and I'm gonna discuss about those 2 verses, how I understand them. And I want you to know कि चाहे गीता में, हर गीता में एक ही चीज़ लिखी हो, लेकिन आप जिस तरीके से उसको इंटरप्रेट करते हो आपके ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा डिपेंड करता है, आपकी लाइफ पे, आपके एक्सपीरियंस पे डिपेंड करता है. देयर इज़ अ कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ ट्रूथ, राइट? व्हाट इज़ ट्रूथ? सत्य क्या है? जो चीज़ पास्ट में भी सच थी, इस मोमेंट में भी सच है और फ्यूचर में भी सच होगी, वो सत्य है. लेकिन हम जो हैं, हाँ, आई वॉज बॉर्न ऑन 5 February 2001. उससे पहले मैं सच थी. आई डेंट इवन एग्जिस्ट. और एक दिन मैं मर जाऊंगी, और मेरे मरने के बाद मैं मिट्टी में मिल जाऊंगी. तो neither did I exist in the past, nor will I exist in the future. So am I really the truth? No. That's the first layer of us understanding ourselves. This body, this life, this privilege, or whatever it is, whether it is the sadness or whether it is something bad that happens to you, none of it is true, because you yourself are not really the concrete truth. But there is a truth within you that was true in the past, that is going to be true in the future, and that will forever be true. And that is a concept talked about in Mandukya Upanishad, which is called as Turia. But that is a very complicated concept to go into, so we will keep that aside. But so something about truth is that we are so attached to truth that we think is true. So I want to make this concept right now कि there is something called as my truth, what I believe is true subjectively. मेरे लिए ये चीज़ सच है. जैसे कि मेरे पापा इस दुनिया के सबसे अच्छे पापा, ये मेरे लिए सच है. वैसे ही किसी और के लिए उनके पापा दुनिया के सबसे अच्छे पापा. That's like my truth. एक होता है the truth, जिससे मैंने बोला जो past, present और future में सत्य है. और एक होता है my truth, जो सब्जेक्टिवली हमारे लिए सच है. वो किसी और के लिए सच हो ना हो, उससे कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता. तो जब हम ये ऐसे गीता जैसे टेक्स्ट पढ़ते हैं, आई वॉन्ट यू टू कीप इन योर माइंड कि this differentiation. So I'm not coming here and saying कि whatever I say is the ultimate the truth, but it is my truth, and I want to share that with you so that you can find your own truth. This video हम लोग I have read Gita multiple times, and every time I have a problem in my life, जब भी मुझे लगता है कि ये चीज़ मेरे like दिमाग की capability से मैं solve नहीं कर पा रही हूँ, my first thought is to go refer to Gita and open Gita and close my eyes and think about whatever is there in my head, and I land on a page, and whatever verse is there, I use that as the answer to my problems. And today I wasn't really upset, or I wasn't really trying to work something out, but I just felt like I wanted some kind of piece of wisdom to go by with my days. So I just opened this random page, and it was one of the verses that changed my life, one of the verses that made me a very optimistic, positive person, to turn everything that feels like, you know, it's breaking me, it's hurting me, into something that is making me stronger. And this was the verse number 37-38 in the chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, called Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. In chapter 18, I'm not going to go into what the actual chapter teaches, but I will try every week to make a video on this, and hopefully we can discover all of Gita together eventually. But today I want to talk about these two verses specifically. But before we talk about this, I want to talk about this one concept, and that is very important for you to know to understand these verses. So there are three modes of material nature. In verse number 40 of chapter 18, it says, no living being on earth or on other planets, including the Devatas, are free from the three modes of material nature. So these three modes that we're talking about here are the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. Prescribed duties out of physical discomfort or fear is renunciation in the mode of passion, which does not yield any elevating outcome. You know how nowadays in our current generation, passion is a very idealized term. I'm so passionate about my job, about my dreams. Passion is not really a good thing according to the Gita, and if you really think about it, you will realize why it is not a good thing. Like this verse said, discomfort or fear. When you're really passionate about something, you get a tunnel vision. You only see what you're passionate about. You don't care about what is going on around it. You're so passionate, you want to achieve this, you will not give a fuck about anything that's around. And that's where you are gonna become a person who is not doing right by your own self at times. You will see mostly people who are passionate are not hesitant into hurting other people, or for example, big businesses are not hesitant about destroying the livelihood of normal common people to go further in the game. Just like that, passion can make you delusional. Association of all attachments and results of actions while acting with a sense of duty is indicative of mode of goodness. So this is what we're talking about, mode of goodness. When we are not attached up to the results of our actions while acting with a sense of duty, this is inside us telling you that this is the right thing to do. This is gonna benefit more people than it's gonna harm, and it's gonna do a greater good at the cost of your own self sometimes, but it is creating a greater good out there. Then you do something, it's like neki kar darya mein dal. You do something good and you forget about it, because it's very important to realize you are, like I told you, we're not even true. You know, we have a very temporary life. Who put us here? It's God, right? अगर भगवान ने हमसे जो हम कर रहे हैं वो नहीं करवाया होता तो हम वो नहीं कर रहे होते. It's all like in Gita it says, it's all Lord Krishna is doing everything, whatever is happening. You are not doing anything. You are just a mode and a medium of delivering that. And you taking the right call is you basically confining your soul into and with the Paramatma. You do anything good, if you're not attached to the result, whether you're going to get anything out of it, even that boost in your self-esteem, if you're not attached to that, that's when you're on the mode of goodness. A renunciate in the mode of goodness does not avoid unfavorable activities or aspire to perform favorable activities. He has no doubts as to his prescribed duties. To give up all activities is impossible for an embodied being. To give up fruits of actions is itself true renunciation. So you can't avoid doing everything, right? But what you can avoid is being attached to the fruit of what you're doing, like I explained to you earlier. When one sees the undivided supreme God divided equally in all living beings, it is knowledge in the mode of goodness. This is what I was talking about. When you're really knowledgeable, knowledge is what? Knowledge is information. But the way you perceive that knowledge, the way you interpret it, the way you implement it is wisdom. You become the wisest. In my life, it's a very hard practice to do. I'm not saying that I'm able to follow this every day in my life. I get angry too, I get out of control too, but this is something if I keep it in my mind, I'm able to take better decisions. Because the thing is that when you look at a person, that has done you wrong, that has done something bad to you, you look at them, at first glance you're gonna be like, you are just a shitty person, there is nothing that justifies your behavior. Maybe there isn't, but the thing is that even in this person, God is there, because God created this person, God put this person on this earth. Person is going on a mode of ignorance or passion or whatever, being greedy and selfish and whatever. It's their karma, it's their karma, it's nothing to do with us. Say that go and get yourself inflicted with torture and hurt from other people, but if somebody's disappointing, somebody's hurting you, doesn't mean that you have to hurt them back. That's what this is about. You think someone's bad for you, leave them, bring them out of your life, because you have bigger things to achieve. And the only person you really need to know and really need to understand is yourself. Because once you understand yourself, you understand this phrase, you understand the fact that God is equally divided between all beings. Everyone's equal, everybody has God in them, and our biases towards race, color, gender are all just man-made delusions. So when we see people as separate and unconnected entities, this is knowledge in the mode of passion. And when we see them, when one is attached to a certain kind of work with indifference to the truth, that knowledge is in the mode of ignorance. Dutiful action as per scriptural recommendations, without attachment or aversion, without any expectation of results, is action in the mode of goodness. Then acts of repeated effort motivated by false ego and sense gratification are said to be in the mode of passion. This is a very interesting thing if you really apply it to your experiences in your life. For example, let's say somebody goes to the temple every Monday, okay? They're going to the temple every Monday, they're praying every time, okay? They're praying for their family, they're praying for their betterment, but they're saying that they're doing this for God when they're going there and asking for something. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be praying for something, everybody prays I want good grades, I want this or that, but God only helps those who can help themselves. Going to the temple every time, it is bhakti, I understand, but if we see the people today, they don't really, when you go to a temple, they say that do darshan. Darshan means open your eyes and look and take in all the visual knowledge you can take. When you go into mandir, all 5 of your senses are working. We don't pay attention to these little details, like the incense sticks. There's a smell that awakens your senses of your senses of smell, and then there are these muritis and there are these flowers and everything that awakens your sense of like visualness. Then there are mantras being chanted about the main verse that I wanted to discuss in this video. So verse number 37, what may seem like poison initially but eventually takes shape of nectar is happiness in the mode of goodness that awakens self-realization. Now this is something that really shaped the way I think about life, because like, let me read it one more time just so that we can know what the verse is. What may seem like poison initially but eventually takes shape of nectar is happiness in the mode of goodness that awakens self-realization. Now what this verse is conveying is that, you know, कई बार कुछ चीज़ें होती है लाइफ में जो हमको लगता है कि यार मेरे साथ क्यों हो रहा है ऐसा, लाइक मैंने ऐसा क्या किया है ये मेरे साथ हो रहा है. लाइक कई बार कुछ किसी चीज़ के लिए आप इतनी मेहनत करोगे, इतना ट्राई करोगे, बट वो आपको नहीं मिलती. या कई बार ऐसा होता है कि आपको बैठे बैठे ऐसी न्यूज़ मिलती है कि आपकी पूरी दुनिया ऐसा लगता है हिल गई है. लेकिन it's this moment that feels like it's the end. It just hurts like hell, and it's basically like it's like poison as described in this verse. But eventually this moment puts you in this thought of re-evaluating everything, and that re-evaluation, that reflection, that creates like self-awareness, that it makes you realize things about yourself and prepares you to deal with harder things. And at some point in life, when you go through so many things like this, no matter what you go through, you will not be affected. And you know how great that is? It literally means you are the controller of how you feel. Example from my personal life, back in 2021, so my entire life I've never had a lot of friends, especially जब मैं 8th grade, actually मैं बोलूँगी कि 12th grade तक, 11th तक basically I had almost zero friends. 11th में फिर भी I had some friends, 10th में I had some friends, but उससे पहले I was a complete loner. Like I had literally zero friends. I used to have no one to talk to except my family, and I used to just be by myself. I don't know whether it was about the fact that I was very quiet and introverted, because most of the times I would spend the time in my head thinking and evaluating and observing and learning about different things around me. Like I would get so fixated on like the way a tree outside my classroom window is growing that I would be so occupied in that. Like I wouldn't feel the need to go and speak to people, which is not necessarily a good thing. But they were part of me. When I used to see in the lunchtime, everybody had friends and groups of people sitting together, and I was just like alone in the corner watching them with like a book, pretending to be like, you know, I have something that I'm occupied with. But in my heart, I was a kid who just wanted to also belong to a group and fit somewhere and talk to people and, you know, all that. But there was a time in 8th grade when I was reading my book at the corner, and some girls, like 5-6 girls, came and they made a circle around me. They started singing that song like lonely, I'm so lonely, and it really hurt me. Like I don't know, I really cried a lot after I went to the washroom and I cried, and I felt like, I don't know, what am I lacking? I know how to treat people well, I know how to make a conversation, I can talk about really like, you know, literally anything with anyone, but why does no one want to be my best friend? Why does no one? I still like now I have a best friend, but her name is Jasmine. But before, like, I didn't even have a best friend for the most of my, and you know, when I started having friends, like, I really wanted a best friend, like, you know, a person to confide in. So whoever would be my friend and show me some kindness, like a little bit also, I'd be like, yeah, this is my best friend. And there was a person who I was like, you're my best friend, and I did so much for this person. I went out of my way. I sacrificed myself. I literally give up things that made me happy. I left everything for her whenever it was needed. I went to lengths. I would be tired. I'd come back from work. I used to work like part-time that time. I used to come back home at 8 p.m. and she would be like, I'm not feeling good. I would leave everything and go see her, and then she'd be like, okay, I'm going to see this other friend later. This person's head, I was just a piece of entertainment. Like, whenever she was bored, she'd call me, and she even called me a pushover, and I was like, she's just saying it because she you know, I was like, in my head I would try to find the good in every aspect of this person, when I'm not gonna say this person's bad or anything, but I don't want to go into the details of like the things that this person did to me. But it kind of only related to this concept about, like, that time it felt like poison. It felt like no one's ever gonna want to be associated with me as me being their number one priority. And it hurt, right? But eventually, as time went by, I got the courage. I got the self-realization that maybe the reason is that the fact that I prioritized the other person so much that I made them feel like my value is nothing. That I will be there no matter what happens, no matter what they do, no matter how they treat me. And I got the courage to cut people off. I started cutting people off. I cut off so many people in my life, I can't even count. It's like a person would mess with my peace and my morals. I would very sweetly and nicely be like, I'm sorry, but I cannot share a mental space with you. And cutting off all these people and getting out of this toxic cycle of depending on another person for my happiness, looking for someone to confide in, I grew as a person. And at this moment in my life, I am so happy that all that happened to me, for me to realize that I don't need another person to prioritize me. And now, when I stopped looking for it, when I stopped working for it and running to it and going with the first wrong person that came into my life and thinking this is the person, I waited, I got patient, and I let people show me that they appreciate me, they value me, and then I gave everything I could and all my efforts to those people, and now those people are really important parts of my life. I started appreciating my family so much because I was thought like I need friends, but I realized like no one will ever care about you like your family will. And all of these realizations make me a more peaceful person, a more happy person. I was so unhappy when I had all these so-called friends, and I was telling myself that, oh, I have a social circle, but in reality, I was just causing harm to my soul. I was sacrificing on my morals, and that was not nice. That was bad. And that comes to the second verse, where it says that happiness arising from interaction between senses and sense objects seem like nectar first, but is actually poison. So this is what these friendships were like to me. They seemed like someone's there to listen to me, but they weren't really listening. They were not even paying attention. It was, think about, we never talked about me. It was always about the other person. And all these things. So that's the thing, like at first it seemed like nectar, it seemed like this makes me happy, but it was making my brain deteriorate literally. But when these things ended, it felt like poison. It felt like no one's ever gonna want me, accept me, value me. But now it's happiness. So you can say, like, trust the process, trust God, trust yourself, that you need to realize your own value. Took me a while to do that, but I always, to be honest, knew my value. When I was younger, I knew my value wasn't how many people wanted to be in the same room as me, but it was that when I speak, everybody listens. Whether it was in the class, whether somebody, how much my word mattered. I was a student council member representing my grade, and I did a lot of achievements during the time I didn't have friends. I was a topper. I had 99%. I was really good at MUNs. I won best delegates like several times, best debater, best author. I won around 70 certificates in span of 2 years. When I knew my value. I knew I had something that made me stand out, that made me unique, and I had the courage to risk and be in unfavorable and tough situations and come out of it even stronger and still enjoy the process. So it's not like I didn't know my value. I just wanted to just see good in other people all the time. And not gonna lie, I don't have trust issues from all those things, or I didn't stop being a good person. I didn't stop being like, oh, I need, no, I'm just gonna be evil, I'm gonna be a mean girl. No, I'm still gonna be kind if you come and talk to me. I'm still, if you come and show me a friendly face and warmth, and I'm gonna show you that back to you. But the moment I realized that, that's just a facade, like just a charade, I will drop you like it didn't matter. Because I'm not attached to you, and I'm not attached to anything you say or you give me. Before, I used to get attached to people and people's actions and words. So this is what these verses, this is just one example, but you can literally apply this to anything in your life. Whenever something seems like unbearable, poison, whether it's losing someone you really love or whatever it is, eventually God knows what he's doing. Everything's gonna work out. Everything, trust me, everything works out. Sometimes I get into a situation, I'm like, oh my God, this is so not good for me. This is not what I should, like, this is not a situation I want to be in. But that situation would bring out something miraculous. Like, I'll give you another example. It was kind of interesting. When I was during COVID, I was stuck in India, and I couldn't go to college, and I studied in Korea, and I was stuck in India, and I was stuck with my mom and my nanny, and I've talked about this in another video, and I used to hate every second of it. I used to be so like, I want to get out of here, I want my independence, I want to be free, I want to be out of this space. And there were a lot of good moments though during the quarantine. I have so many snap memories from that time. I look at it and I am the happiest person in the world when I look at them. And so many moments with my nanny, and that whole, but my brain was focusing on the negatives, right? I can't go out, I can't have the freedom that I love so much, and I have to listen to my mom all the time, and I'm 21 and I don't want to listen to anything from anyone. Well, I was 20 back then, but yeah. And then after that, I was finally gonna go back to Korea in April, and I go to the airport. I'm so excited, I'm so happy. Finally, after a year, I'm out of this. I'm at the airport, I'm getting my passport and everything, and I'm like, I'm getting out of here. And I get my passport, and they're like, your visa's expiring. You have not gone to the country in 1 year, and according to the rule, you can't go now. You have to reapply for the visa. My God, the way I was shattered that moment, I was like, I'm being pushed back into a hellhole. What is the karma that I'm paying for? Like, my brain was going in always, and it felt like poison. Okay, it felt like, nah, this is the worst that could happen to me. And then I had to fly with my parents to Middle East, where my parents live, and I was so miserable. I was like, I don't want to go here, but went there. I actually had a great time. And then we go to DHL to apply for my documents. We're applying my documents, and I'm at DHL, and I look at this one like poster there that's like, oh, you can win like a iPhone if you what do you call it, if you apply, if you have a shipment number and you comment on our Instagram post or something. And I was like getting bored because my dad was doing all the work, and I'm just standing and I have a habit of reading everything in the room, looking at every person. I remember everyone's face, and I'll see their name tags, what their names are. Like, I'm just like that person. I will like observe everything. So I was like, you know what, I'll just enter. You never know. I opened my phone and my Instagram. I entered the lucky draw. A week later, I won an iPhone. This iPhone that I'm making this video with, I won it in a lucky draw out of the most miserable situation. That's not where it ends. It felt like poison, right? That whole time. That year ended, and I was in Korea, okay? And if you know me, if you watched my videos, you know how close I was to my nanny, how much I loved her. She's like equivalent to my parents. Like, I loved her the most in this world. I come back to Korea a few months later in January. My brain couldn't even imagine that would happen, but my nanny passed away, and hell broke loose in my head. Like, I couldn't take it, and I don't know how to deal with the grief. And I was like in a foreign country all by myself. I had no one to go to and confide to or to cry with. I was just shocked because a day ago I used to video call my nanny every single day. I used to talk to her for like hours, and not a day went by when I didn't talk to this woman in my entire life, and suddenly she's gone. And that's where I realized the importance of that year in COVID quarantine, where I was locked in the house with my nanny, and the golden period of my life that I hated so very much that I got to spend with her before I can never see her again. And that time when I wasn't able to go to Korea, when I was leaving, my nanny was crying, like bawling. She said, I don't want you to go. And I came back from the airport. She has the biggest smile on her face when I see her, and it was such a happy moment, and I got to spend a few more days with her. And that moment, I couldn't have imagined the importance and the value every single moment had. Because you don't know what God has in store for you, and the way He is making things work out for you. You have to have faith. And that's what it felt like poison. But right now, nothing in my life is more valuable than those moments. So I'm gonna end by reading the verses one more time to you. It was very emotional while talking about this. What may seem like poison initially, but eventually takes shape of nectar, is happiness in the mode of goodness that awakens self-realization. Happiness arising from interaction between senses and sense objects seems like nectar first, but is actually poison. That happiness is in the mode of passion. So you don't need to be passionate. What you need to be is be able to sacrifice, do charity, and practice austerity, and have self-realization and have faith. Now, the examples I gave you, they involved, like, for example, the phone example. Phone was a reward, but I wasn't attached to the phone itself. I was just in that moment was that made me realize that every time anything feels wrong, good will come out of it. Let's end it on that note, and I hope this video helped you. I hope this video made you see some very terrible situation you're going through in a more positive way. And I want to tell you, I'm always here for you. I'm always here to make you see the brighter side of things. And if things get hard, don't give up, because you have it in you to work your way through that. Bye, and thank you for watching this video.